Welcome, everybody, to Saturdays with Tara. I'm Mary Beth. You're at the Law of Attraction Club on the web at theloaclub.com. Remember to press star 6 if you have a question or comment. This morning, Robin will be bringing through Tara for us. So welcome, Tara and Robin. Or as Robin said on another call, Robin is bringing through Tara, or Tara is bringing through Robin. So just a little Tara humor there. All right, so over to you, Robin and Tara.
Indeed. This one is smiling because we are smiling. It is always a collaboration, you see. This thing called channeling, about which there is so much mystery and about which this community seeks to remove the mystery. It is nothing very mysterious. We have been wont to say that it's as normal and natural as having breakfast. And so here we are. It is a collaboration. And the title for today's session, the main heading, so to speak, was Evolution is just a backstory. Behind that lies the theme for today. And the subtitle for that, if you like, is The Deeper You Go, the Simpler It Becomes. And we will get into all of that. And we have been encouraged to take you on a little journey today in terms of, later on we will be getting into a visualization. And so if you are out walking the dogs or you are driving your car, you may want to shortly find a place where you can be a little comfortable, maybe close your eyes and get into the process here. We have been talking a lot here with you about a simple approach to the law of attraction. And what do we mean by a simple approach? We would say in this one's world, it is an approach that most people, it is the way most people approach the law of attraction, in that it is possible to change things for yourself by the way you choose your thoughts. And choosing positive thoughts and feeling good is a good idea at all times. And that's, for many people, about as deep as it goes. And really that contains the essence of it. Because if you are always able to choose a better feeling thought and a better feeling thought, no matter what the circumstances seem to be driving you towards, and we will talk some more about that today. Whatever the circumstances seem to be driving you towards in terms of how you feel, then you can turn your back on that, so to speak, and choose something a little better and a little better and a little better, then you will do very well. Because you will create your reality based upon that better feeling thought. And that allows you, of course, to step into that better feeling place and a better feeling world, which is a better world. It is more in line with what you want. But if you find at times that you are it's not easy for you to choose that better feeling thought, then it is possible to start to think about the way in which you are, who you are, and your relation to all that is, and your relation to this world that seems to be around you. To be a little logical, if you will, about who you are, about how you are creating it. So, there is no situation, however dire it seems to be, from which you cannot turn around and choose something different. because in truth nothing is ever a dire situation. It is simply what it is. It is simply what you have arrived at. It is simply what you have previously created, and now the choice is, what do I want now? So the question is, if we are talking about shallow or going deep, how do you perceive reality? Is it something real and solid? And if it is, then it sounds ridiculous to say you can simply choose a better feeling thought. It sounds like nonsense. Well, nonsense it is not. But to explain why it is not, to explain how this can be, we have to go a little deeper. Because if you stay with a simple only version of the law of attraction, and you've dug a big hole and you're in it, it may feel like you have no way of climbing out. So we're going to go a little deeper here, and we're going to encourage you to see that hole for what it really is. Because there is no reality out there. We want you to understand this concept. What seems like a world outside of you is actually a movie playing in your mind. You see, it looks like a shared solid world, but it is your world. And you are inviting into this movie the characters and the props and the things and the circumstances that you are creating by what you expect of this world of yours. But everything you experience is an illusion. It's a very elaborate illusion, but it's a vibrational match to the belief choices you've made and the belief choices you go on making day to day, day to day. Therefore, there is no whole, there can be no whole you've ever created that cannot be uncreated. There is no whole you've ever created that cannot be uncreated. How quickly can you uncreate that whole? Well, the answer to that is, you can uncreate it instantly if you know that you can. And you say, well, I've just fallen out of a plane or fallen from a high cliff from 10,000 feet. Can I uncreate that? And the answer is, only you can answer that, because if you know you can, you can. And if you don't know that you can, it will just hang on, stick around, and it'll all be over shortly, and you'll be transitioning into pure positive energy. So you see, it doesn't really matter, does it? If that's the worst that can happen, then that you suddenly step into this place of pure positive energy, then this thing can't be all that bad, can it? It cannot be. Your movie is your story. It's playing, as we said, in your mind. It's all an inside job. There is nothing out there. We want you to understand this as the context for what we are saying here today. Your story has been written by you, the conscious thinking you that is engaged with us here. We don't mean some higher self you that's determining things from you. We don't mean some higher being somewhere that is looking out for you and determining what should or should not be in your experience. We don't mean your higher self or your inner being. We mean this consciousness that is listening here, that is hearing these words. That is the story that has been written by you, that consciousness you, your story. We often call it a tapestry of expectations. Look around you right now. You see, you live in an incredibly detailed movie. This tapestry is a finely woven, incredibly detailed and complex picture frame upon picture frame of everything in your world. And not one tiny piece of it was created or ordained or decided upon or is kept in place by anything or anyone other than that conscious you we talked about, that you and your belief choices. It is all your creation. Now, most of those choices you never think about. You never bring them into consciousness, as we say. You made the choice, you stored it away in your subconscious, and you never think about it again. But that is the tapestry that you have stored away. And everything sits back there as threads in that tapestry, and it forms your screenplay. It forms the world around you. It forms the context for your experience. Because although the movie is a movie, it is a work of fiction, your experience is real. You are here for the experience. You are here to experience this reality, to play in this game, to put it another way, to learn to create from this different perspective, from this different context. That is why you are here. If you ever think back to the times when you really felt you created something fresh, something new, and can you remember what a pleasure that is? That what really turns you on when you get down to it is creating something new. Choosing something that gives you real joy. And that is because, at your core, this is why you are here. That is why you have chosen to step into this space-time game. Space and time. We will talk some more about that. But just be clear about this. There is nothing you cannot be, do, or have. There is nothing you cannot change. This is the, if you like, the promise of the law of attraction. And to put this in perspective really, let's go a step further. Because all of that sounds like it's about your future. You're going to change something, so you're going to change something in your future. Yes, your future is clearly a choice. And we would encourage you to understand, so is your past. Yes, that past of yours, which you often see as what defines who you are and the circumstances you are in, yes, that past is as much a work of fiction as your future is. It is just as variable as your future is. As we say, memory is just another word for imagination. You made it up and you go on making it up. It's your backstory. So can you begin to see that whatever is looming as inevitable cannot be inevitable? Whatever is looming as inevitable is always changeable. And you can say, but here's this past. I've got evidence that it's fixed. I have my high school yearbook, and I have my driver's license, and I have my etc., etc. I have all these pictures of my past. I have all this evidence of where I have been. And we say to you, where is this evidence? And you say, well, here it is. And we say, it is in your present, is it not? And as you are creating your world moment by moment, as you are creating this internal movie in your mind moment by moment, can you see that you can create evidence of a past that you stick to moment by moment? And that is all it is. You've decided on a past and you've said, here's the evidence of it, and that reinforces that cycle. But it is not. You see, that is not real. It is all part of the movie. And even as you can go to a movie in which time gets switched around and people flip from future to past and so on, So that is closer to the reality of you than you might imagine. Because you see, that past is just one version of who you are and where you are and what you came from. Is the Earth 16 billion or 6,000 years old? Were all the species on this Earth created distinctly, or did all current life forms evolve from simpler organisms? Were you born in a certain year of certain parents in a certain country? Will you inevitably get old and physically degrade and die? Well, since you're making it all up, you tell us. You see, whatever you believe is your story. Whatever you believe also is your backstory. None of it has any absolute truth to it except that which you choose to declare. And does it matter? And the answer is it doesn't matter at all. The past is irrelevant. But in one sense it does matter, and that depends on you. Ask yourself this. Do you see your past right now like a set of rails? In other words, you can look back and see that those rails came so certainly from that past that you choose to regard as cast in concrete. Those tracks that are laid out on this solid landscape behind you there. And you can probably tell us at great length about that journey and where those tracks went and the stations and the waypoints and the people that were intersected with along that course. And by the way, you often do, as if it's important. You feel that you must tell us about your past in order to explain where you are and why you are here, in order that you may change where you're going. And we say the past is not important, except to the extent that you make it so, except to the extent that you cling to it. And are you clear about those train tracks that got you here to this present moment and situation? And can you see it stretching out before you into your future? Think about it. If that is so, and for many of you, of course, it is. For all of you, we would say to some extent it is, because you are now participating so heavily in this space-time game, and it is so mesmerizing, and you have come to recognize so easily that this time flows from one second to the next, and what happened last second determines to a large extent what happens to this in this second, and so on and so on. You can see those tracks behind you, and you can see the track, therefore, heading into the future. And because you are, if you like, immersed in that process, because you are so, if you like, mesmerized by this idea of the past determines your present and future, can you see why it's so hard to declare to yourself that you can easily change direction? You've made such a habit of being on those train tracks that it's hard to see yourself picking up the train and putting it on another set of tracks. So let's do a little exercise here. And now's the time to, if you can, relax and perhaps close your eyes. Look back on those tracks of yours, those train tracks. Look back to that past that you have agreed is your past. Now, we're going to take a little journey now into the future. And how far into the future is up to you. Let's suggest, but it's your call, let's suggest that you make it the end of this year, the end of 2014 in your world. Now, bearing in mind what tracks you are on and where you have come from, let's start to head down that set of tracks into the future. Let us imagine you are on this train and you are looking out the window at the world. So where does this train go today? Where does it go next week? Get a picture of what you are passing through. Get a picture of the context of your world as you are on this set of tracks. We're not asking you to change the tracks at this point. We're just saying, see the track that you naturally feel you are on, that you subconsciously know you are on. And just let's extend that track as the first part of this exercise. Where do you go? Where do you go today? Where do you go this week? Where do you go this month? What do you see out that window? Where do you go this year? Think about that. And as you think about it, just notice how you feel about it. Where are you headed right now, and how do you feel about it? We're not asking you to change anything. We're not asking you to leap into something wonderful just yet. That's to come. We want you just to see the track that you are on, the one you subconsciously know is your train tracks. And where are they going right now? What's probable out here ahead of you on these tracks? What's certain out here ahead of you on these tracks? Just look out that window and see the things that you are heading towards. The way the world is, the way your situation is, the physical you, how will it be? The people that you are in touch with, who are they and how do you relate to them? Think about this set of tracks that is heading into your future. Look out the window and see the world. And what does that world feel like to you? And now you have reached the end of the year on this set of tracks that you are on. And what does it feel like? What is it like? What are you like? Good. So that is your current set of tracks. Now, look out to the end of the year. And this time, we want you to look out the window. It's now the end of 2014. And you are looking out the window on a world that will be as you want it to be. That is as you want it to be. Now allow yourself to imagine that. What does that world look like? And you can be as wild and crazy about that as you want to be, because there is no limit here, you see. And you can make that be very different, or just different in a few key things, or whatever you choose. But allow yourself to be in that world, out that window of the train, that looks a little different, or a lot different. How would you have it be different? Think about that. Imagine that world. This is a place of peace and power and fun and freedom and connection and connectedness. Think of those words and look at that world. Peace and power and fun and freedom and connection and connectedness. And as you do that, now we want you to start, if you like, imagining the tracks that you are on now and where they came from. And as you move back here towards this time, and even back beyond this time into your past, allow yourself to see the tracks that will lead you to that future. And you can take them back as far as you want to go into your so-called past, and allow yourself to be on that train and seeing the things that are on that different set of tracks, that go in a different direction, that go in a different course, that go through different stations, and different people get on and off this train. And here you are observing all of this. And you can move back and forward on that new set of tracks. And as you do, you'll pass through your present time, but you'll be in a different place on a different set of tracks. Get a feel for that. What does it feel like? Because you see, on this set of tracks, that future, that end of the year thing that you are imagining, that place, that existence, that peace and power and fun and freedom place, that's inevitable now, you see, because you're on this other set of tracks. And can you see that your subconscious is now saying, oh, I can see how we get there. Yes, good. Because my waypoints have changed. My stations have changed. My direction has changed. The map of my life has changed. The view out of my window in this life of mine has changed. And this is just a mental exercise we are taking you on here. But it is not just a mental exercise. Or rather, it is just a mental exercise, but so is your world just a mental exercise. So this is reality for you. So we encourage you, start to see your past as changeable. And if you like, start by looking at your future. At some point, a month out, a year out, it matters not, a week out, a day out, where would you really, really like to be? And what set of tracks would get you there? And why not put your train on those tracks? Why not choose to see the view out your window as the view from those tracks? Where would you really, really like to be? And this visualization, if you like, this revisionist history that we are suggesting to you, it's just a way of allowing yourself to get into the dance of creating more of what you want, to get into the process, the visualization of your future in a way that's believable. And you can start to live from that old version of the past being an old version, and this new version being the version that you choose. And you live from this new version. And as you do that, more and more and more, you will step into a version of you that matches that in the now. And this old past of yours will become more and more fuzzy, and this new past of yours will become more and more real. it will become literally your past. And if you get into this process and choose to, you will find that everything changes. And that evidence you used to have of that old past is no longer there, or it is changed. This is not a fantasy or an impractical delusion. This is pragmatic, realistic creation in the best possible way. This is you creating your truth in the most absolute sense possible. So, obviously, you can keep it simple, as many people do. Or you can go deep with the law of attraction, and you choose whichever feels best to you. But if you find yourself in a hole and unable to dig your way out of it, we say, take stock of where you are and begin anew at this point. Because here's the truth of it, you see. It is only at the shallow end of the pool here, this law of attraction pool, that the complications exist. At the shallow end, you are having to explain all these other things without really understanding the truth of who you are. And that's a very complex exercise. How can I create my world this way, and my partner wants to create her world that way, or his world that way, and we both want to stay together, but we cannot see that we can reconcile our two desires. And so you get caught up in all of this, how can I do this stuff? And so if you really want to dig into then the law of attraction, it becomes very complex. You make up very complex stories about the way it works. But it is not complex, you see. And the deeper you go, the more clearly you can see that. At its core, at your core, you are a divine simplicity. And the deeper you go, the simpler it gets. You begin to see more clearly who you are and what you are. And so if it is your desire to create what it is that you want, create more of what it is that you want, we encourage you to understand truly who you are. We encourage you to see the simplicity of who you are, that you are part of the collective consciousness of all that is. And you are defined by, you are created by the choices you make. And we call it the law of attraction, but it is very fundamental. As you make a choice and step into a new version of you, a new version of your movie appears, if you like. A new version of reality wraps itself around you in a seemingly physical space-time world. You are the creator of everything by your choices. If it's in your story, you're making it up. If it's in your story, you're making it up. And if you're making it up, you might as well make up a good story. Because you can. And so we encourage you to go deep, but it's up to you. And as you go deep, we will go with you, and we will explore with you the foundations of all of this. And then from that foundation, you and we can build the picture of what you want. And as you build that picture of what you want, you step into that version of reality. It is a magnificent game that you are in. We do not come here offering you wisdom from on high. You attract us into your experience as we attract you. We are here to show you from our perspective the truth of things. And you tell us, of course, from your perspective, the truth of things. And between all of that, as we mix it up together, so we arrive at a place of understanding. And so we arrive at some ideas and processes to allow you to more completely and easily step into the world you want to create. And so here we are mixing it up with you, and we look forward, if there are any questions, to answering those. So back to you, Mary Beth.
Okay. Anybody have a question or a comment? Can you hear me, Robin? Rob?
Yes.
Good. I don't see a question yet, but I'm sure we'll have one. I just wanted to say that what I found so amazing was that when I was on the track of where I am right now, or, where I've been and where I am right now, not the future, but just where I am, what track am I on now? I guess that's the way to put it. It was happiness. I mean, that almost knocked me over. I thought, whoa, I'm feeling happy now, and I'm on a track of happiness for no good reason. And that just felt so significant to me. And then when I thought about the future, what track am I on? I really got the statement, the better it gets, the better it gets. I got it on a deeper level. And it is so simple, as you were saying when you began. It's so simple, and but it's so, I can't think of the word I want to think of right now, but it's so wonderful. It's so amazing. Anyway.
You see, yes, and we appreciate your words, Mary Beth. And depending, of course, where you find yourself at any point in time, how you are feeling about your current surroundings, if you go through this exercise, you may find it pointing in different directions. And that will always be true. And when we say it is simple, we mean that at your core, the way you create and the way the world is for you is a very simple process. We don't mean that it's easy necessarily to break with those habits of the past, because that is all it is. What you see around you is a thinking habit. Your world is a habit of thought. That's all it is. And it's results from the habits and thoughts you've been practicing. You made choices,
exactly.
You practiced the thought, and there you are. The world matches it. And you matched it. You physically matched it. There you are in this world. So, is in this world of yours, is evolution true? It matters not at all. Whatever you believe is your backstory, is your choice. And none of it matters a hill of beans unless you find yourself on this rigid set of tracks heading in to places you do not want to go. And so we say, understand who you are. At your core, you are the one making the decisions here. And you've made decisions in the past, and they can be changed. Any of them. And we encourage you, of course, to do that. Go ahead.
I was just going to say it's so elegant. That's the word I was looking for. Elegant in its simplicity. And as you were saying, it hasn't necessarily been easy, but that's a different word from simplicity.
Yes,
and what I would like everybody to know is I've spent, a lot of time on my past track letting go of limiting beliefs, letting go of what doesn't feel good, and allowing happiness to come in. I had to let go and let go and let go in order to make this space for happiness. And it's just getting better and better. So I just want to encourage everybody, do the little simple exercises we give you, or make up your own. I don't care. But if you keep letting go of the past and letting go of the limiting beliefs and the past thoughts that don't feel good, in whatever way you want to do it, happiness is just going to be who you are. It's that simple. It just starts to be your MO, all the time. And I'm not saying I'm there all the time yet, but I'm getting a taste of what it's like to just be happy for no reason at all, to just be. So Thank you for that exercise.
Good. This one had a chat from Rachel, who of course translates for us on Thursdays. And she contributed this morning, which was, do you want a different perspective on what's happening? Or to step into a different version of you? Tip or shake the kaleidoscope just a bit and watch how the world changes around you. And that is a delightful picture for those of you that have seen a kaleidoscope. You shake it and the picture changes. And how do you shake it? You shake it up by what you think about it, by where you choose to believe that you are, and where you choose to believe you're going, and what you choose to believe you can be. And by getting into that place of being there. Indeed.
Yes, the power of the choice.
Exactly.
We are not a victim to how we feel. We're not a victim to the pinched off thoughts. We are not. It's funny you say this because I just found a kaleidoscope in my storage last night, and I was looking through it. Haven't looked through one in years, so I love that. I love that image.
Indeed.
So who has a question or a comment? I know there's one lurking out there.
Giora has raised his hand.
Okay. Well, let me see if I can do that. Let's see, unmute. Okay. I'm on my phone, folks, working this app for this. So just go ahead, Giora.
I heard that I was unmuted.
You are. Good.
When I looked at the past, I knew, first of all, it doesn't matter. I mean, why deal with it at all? I mean, why change it?
Exactly.
But I could choose from it stuff that I liked. And what I chose is that I saw that I changed all the time. This is my old track. I kept changing. Every few years I changed direction. I chose something else to do. Always aiming at doing more precisely what I wanted to do. So it was a good track to continue. And when I looked at the future, actually the first track didn't lead to a bad place. It led to a good place. It led to things I want to do. And the second time, I just added a few.
You embellished it a little.
Yes, exactly. I added a little. Well, I have another choice, so I could make it even better. Yes.
Good.
But it was just like Mary Beth. It was a good surprise for me to realize that I feel I'm going to a good place.
Good.
Thank you, Giora. Anybody else want to share their experience on the track? Don't be shy. I'm going to run around the room and call on somebody.
As Giora said, the past is unimportant. We have said that many, many times. The past is unimportant. It is only important if you give it importance. It can only rule in your life to the extent that you allow it to. And so this little, if you like, ruse that we have suggested to you here today, to think of a different past and start to imagine yourself coming from that, is simply another way of stripping away the power of that fixed past you have, you see. It's simply a way of breaking free of the cause and effect train that you seem to be on. It's breaking away from that thing that you keep doing, which is extrapolating from yesterday and last month and last year and the last 10 years and so on. It's just another technique, another process. But it really is a process that cuts to the core, if you like, of where you think you've come from and what you think you are and why you're in the circumstances you're in. And so it's a useful technique, we feel, in order to shake you free of that to some extent. And we recognize in a space-time world how mesmerizing it is. We have often said you're on the leading edge of creation. Here you are playing the game in this extreme version of conscious narrowing down and focusing down. But it is all a game. It is all your choice. It is all a movie playing in your mind. It is all changeable and rewritable. And you will always match up with the version of things and people that you choose to believe will be there. And as always, your choices about what to believe are not based upon the world that you see. The world that you see is based upon those choices. And it's upside down from what seems to be the case in many situations. And we understand that's a bit of a leap when you first get to it. But the truth of it is, every time you make a choice, the world changes to match that choice. And so it supports the choice, you see. If you choose to believe X, then the world that you're in will support that. If you choose to believe that you evolved from a simple life form, then you will exist in a physical world in which fossils can be dug up and a chain of evolution can be demonstrated. If you choose to believe that you're in a world that's created, specifically with species in mind, some thousands of years ago, then you will live in a world in which evidence of that exists. It doesn't matter which version you choose. As Guru said, none of it matters a hill of beans. The only thing is, what do you want now? Where are you going? What version of the world do you want to step into? What version of you do you want to step into? That is the only important question. Here you are. Where do you want to go? Let's go.
And so, I think if there are no questions or comments at this point, that was pretty much a wrap-up. But if you want to say any last word or two, Rob?
No, we think that was, as you say, Mary Beth, a wrap-up, and that we have enjoyed this interaction immensely. We look forward to continuing this topic through you, Mary Beth, and through Rachel as we move down the track this week. We look forward to being with you all. As you need support, all you have to do, as you know, is raise your hand and we will be with you. We are with you. You do not need the medium of this phone call to experience us, to be with us. We enjoyed this interaction immensely, and we are complete.